thank you folks for coming today. Can you hear me clearly enough? They say I have a loud voice, so we're going to do without the microphone unless we need it. I've been here a little over 2 years, and this is such a fascinating place for me, and such interesting people here. I ran into a couple the other day, been married 60 years. 60 years, think of that. All those decades. And he said to his wife, he said, you know, after 60 years, that proves our love is tried and true. She said, what? That proves our love is tried and true. What'd you say? A third time he said, that proves our love is tried and true. She said, well, fine, I'm sick and tired of you too. Well, let's get a big warm up here and get ready to crawl back into that little radio like in the old days. And I want to test you and see how you're doing. Just complete the pairs. I think most of you get this. Amos and
Andy.
Lum and
Andrew.
Pretty good. Laurel and
Hardy.
Dagwood and
Lonnie.
the Lone Ranger and
Tonto.
100% so far. George Burns and
Gracie Allen.
Mary Livingston and
Jack Benton.
that was a little weak, wasn't it? Okay, the Cats and Jammer Kids. Hans and that's a tougher one. Fritz. Okay. Fibber McGee and
Molly.
and Fred Astaire and
Ginger Rogers.
okay. Romeo and oh wait, that doesn't belong. That's right. Okay, the band leaders' first names. See if you can think of the last name. Benny, Glenn, Harry, Kay. Here's a tough one. Vaughn. He used to sing "Racing with the Moon." Remember that? Sammy, Lawrence, and finally Xavier. There you're Kuga. You're doing really well. I've got one little problem I need your help on. My friend Charlie McCarthy, he came last time, and I told him, you know, we don't really have time for you this time. We got so much going on. We got an old radio show we're going to do and talk about the old days, openings of radio shows. He said, could I please appear for a while? I said, there really isn't time, Charlie. He said, well, I'm on a new campaign. It's called Make Charlie Great Again. Well, should we let him take time? Do we have time to have him on? Do you think? Okay. Well, Charlie, here we are once again in South Carolina. I declare. A lot of people turned out to see you today. So I see. Who's that guy in the front row? Tim, ask him. What's your name? Hope? Hobart. Hobart. Did he pay to get in? No. Nobody's going to pay to get in to see you. You're just a dummy made out of white pine. Oh. Look, you didn't go to school like real boys to learn anything. If I was to ask you a question from history, I might say, what did Christopher Columbus discover? What would you say? Columbus? Yes, what did Columbus discover? Columbus. Ohio? No, not Ohio. Here's a simple arithmetic question. John Wayne gives you one dog. Maureen O'Hara gives you one dog. How many dogs do you have? I know. Well, how many? 3. No. John Wayne gives you one dog. Maureen O'Hara gives you one dog. How many dogs do you have? 3. I already have a dog. Oh, that's silly. Come on now. Let's talk about science. I know you have trouble with that, but many years ago, a lot of people thought the world was flat. If you sailed off the edge, you'd drop off into space, but they were wrong. So let me ask you, in what shape is the world? I know that. All right, what shape is the world? It's in a terrible shape. Maybe in a terrible shape. Turns out it's neither round nor flat, but an oblate spheroid. What? An oblate spheroid. Do you know your lips are moving? Of course I know my lips are moving. I'm just pretending to be a ventriloquist. Pretending to be a public speaker too. Well, actually, I do a lot of public speaking. Charlie, I don't know why you're so mean to me. I'm a good citizen. I vote. I pay taxes. Give to charity. I'm happily married. You're happily married? Yes. How come your wife isn't? Oh, come on now. I've been so good to you. I recently gave you a loan of $10. I remember. To show you where my heart is, I'm going to forget half of it. Show you where my heart is, I'm going to forget the other half. Look, if there's just one thing I want you to remember today, it's this. That the earth is an oblate spheroid. Do you think? No, don't. I don't think. I know. What? I don't think I know. I don't think I know either. Let's talk about all the other things that we've gone through before. How about some of our famous stars like W.C. Fields? He's going to be one of our guests. I hate W.C. Fields. Why do you hate W.C. Fields? He says they're only fit to be a snack bar for woodpeckers. And he gets splinters when he shakes my hand. Oh, I'm sure he's only kidding. Furthermore, he drinks too much. Well, he does go a little heavy in the sauce at times. The other day I heard him yell out, "Hey, who stole the cork out of my lunch?" Well, if you don't like W.C. Fields, I know you're going to like our next guest. Who's that? Miss Dorothy Lamour. Dorothy Lamour. Woo! I know why you like Dorothy Lamour. Why? Because of that sarong she wears. What's so wrong about that? Okay, thank you. Nate Charlie Greenville. We're going to feature today Dr. Drummond, Dr. Julia Drummond, Don Chisholm. They'll be along very shortly to reenact a play called The Lives of Ethel and Albert. I don't know whether you remember that, but Ethel and Albert was written by Peg Lynch, and Peg was known as the mother of the sitcom. She was writing sitcoms back in the 30s, and went into radio, into television, and we'll have a wonderful sample of it coming up in just a moment. I just want to go through a few of the openings to remember the old days. Might be, and I'll think of a couple stories along the way, maybe. But the Aldrich family. Remember how it started? Henry Aldrich, and then you heard coming mother. Yeah. Okay. Then we heard from. Let's see what page we got that one on. Boston Blackie. Who remembers Boston Blackie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a specialty of mine. I used to love to listen to that. And it would start out, Boston Blackie, enemy to those who make him an enemy, friend to those who have no friends. Or there was Bulldog Drummond. No relation, right?
Yes, relation.
They don't call you Bulldog, do they?
No.
Better not.
Behind a sore face.
I bet. All right, so not to your face at least. Bulldog Drummond, out of the fog, out of the night, and into his American adventures comes Bulldog Drummond. How about this one from the mid-40s? Can you top this? Remember that? It was a series of jokes, and everybody would try to tell a better joke. And it would start with, welcome to another laugh hour, half hour with Can You Top This, starring Senator Ford, Harry Hirschfield, Joe Laurie Jr., and Ward Wilson. And Dr. IQ, my favorite quiz. Who remembers that? I have a lady in the balcony, doctor. Okay, it started off, Mars Incorporated, makers of America's most enjoyable candy bars, brings you another half-hour fun with your genial master of wit and information, Dr. IQ, the mental banker. And now here's that wise man with the friendly smile and the cash for your correct answers, Dr. IQ. I was writing a book back in the 60s, my first of, turned out to be 11 books, about old-time radio. It was cast lists and things like this open. In fact, this is the book right here. And I was working simultaneously with Mary Jane Higby. She had a soap opera called When a Girl Marries, and she starred in that for 18 years, imagine. Well, she was writing a book about it and her life in the soaps, and it was called Tune In Tomorrow. That was it. Well, she called me quite often. We'd work back and forth, and we'd help each other with remembering the people and so on and so forth. One day she called and says, Bill, what's the name of that announcer on such and such a show? And I said, I can't remember offhand, but I've got some notes at home, and it's in there. And my wife Rosemary's home, and give her a call and just ask if she would look it up. And it's in a big shoebox under the bed, so that shouldn't be a problem. So she calls and introduces herself. This is Mary Jane Higby. This is Owen. I'm a friend of your husband's. Oh? And she says, I need some information. What kind of information? Well, about a radio show. She said, well, Bill keeps those notes. I have no idea where they are. She says, oh, they're in a box under the bed. I have a lot of explaining to do that night. There was an announcer, a gospel singer actually, used to come in Mutual Radio on Saturday mornings. And he had a little problem with the bottle. And sometimes he'd just get through the show and they'd have to help him out. And everybody kept saying, you know, one of these days he's going to have a problem. He just won't be able to do the show. And one Saturday morning he did come in really sloshed. He couldn't get through one hymn. And everybody said, there's that career, he's done for. He was so lucky. People wrote letters and said how wonderful he got carried away by those hymns. He became more popular than ever. Okay, oh, here's another favorite, Duffy's Tavern. Remember how it goes? He would answer the phone. There was no Duffy. Duffy never appeared. They just talked about him. He'd say, hello, Duffy's Tavern, where the elite meet to eat. Archie the manager speaking. Duffy, oh, hello, Duffy. That's how that one began. And First Nighter, I always got a kick out of that. It was a series of dramas, and it was said to be at a little theater just off Times Square. Well, I found out later it was a long way off Times Square. It came from Chicago. But they always used to speak about smoking in the downstairs and outer lobby only, please. Oh, what was the other story I wanted to tell you? Oh, yeah. On the CBS mystery program, they had a sound effect problem one time. And this is all live, so there's no second takes like they can do today. So he said, I'm going to shoot you, you dirty rat. And he thinks he's shooting. And the gun jammed. Poor sound man, he had trouble with it. This is our sound man today, he wouldn't have that trouble. But the gun jammed, so he thought quickly. He says, okay, my gun isn't working, I'm going to stab you to death instead. You know what happened. Just then the gun went off. Bang! So things like that would happen. The Fitch bandwagon. The Fitch bandwagon. Laugh a while, let a song be your style. Use Fitch shampoo. Don't despair, use your head, save your hair. Use Fitch shampoo. Oh, another favorite. So many people ask me about Grand Central Station. Remember that? And here, this is one of the most dramatic openings of all time, I think. The announcer would come on and say, as a bullet seeks its target, shining rails in every part of our great country are aimed at Grand Central Station, heart of the nation's greatest city, drawn by the magnetic force of the fantastic metropolis. Day and night, great trains rush toward the Hudson River, sweep down its eastern bank for 140 miles, flash briefly by the long red row of tenement houses south of 125th Street, dive with a roar into the 2.5-mile tunnel which burrows beneath the glitter and swank of Park Avenue. And then we hear escaping steam dramatically from the locomotive. Grand Central Station, crossroads of 1 million private lives. There was one problem with that. All the trains, none of the trains used steam. They were all electric in those days. But nobody really cared. Another favorite, the Green Hornet. With his faithful valet, Cato. Britt Reed, daring young publisher, matches wits with the underworld, risking his life that criminals and racketeers within the law may feel its weight by the sting of the Green Hornet. And another favorite. They're all my favorites, but I'm sure you remember a lot of them. Inner Sanctum. Remember Raymond hosted the close. This show was based on the fact that Hyman Brown, the producer, was in the sound room one time and he found a door that squeaked and he said, I can make a show out of that. That would be a great opening. So the show came after he found the door. Years later, he was in there and a man was coming around for maintenance. He was trying to oil it. He said, don't touch that door. That would ruin it. But here's how it started. Good evening, friends. This is Raymond, your host, welcoming you to the Inner Sanctum. I wasn't allowed to listen to that because I would get nightmares, according to my parents. And Jack Armstrong, who sponsored that program, do you remember? Wheaties, Breakfast of Champions. Wave the flag for Hudson High, boys. Show them how we stand. A lot of teachers got upset with Jack Armstrong because he was never in school. He was in a submarine or a dirigible or an airplane flying around the world. And I brought my little Ovaltine. If anybody gets thirsty, I got my Ovaltine shake-up mug. You know, they sponsored what program?
Little Orphan Annie.
Little Orphan Annie, exactly. Little Orphan Annie. Who's that little chatterbox? The one with silver auburn locks. Who can she be? It's Little Orphan Annie. Oh, we can't go without the Lone Ranger, can we? You want to hear how that opening goes? You probably don't need me. You remember how it went.
Hi-ho, silver.
Hi-yo silver. People used to say hi-ho, but it was hi-yo silver. See if I can find it in here. The Lone Ranger. Now, who was his faithful Indian companion? Okay. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again. They used the same cast as the Lone Ranger as Sergeant Preston of the Yukon and the Green Hornet. They're all from Detroit, WXYZ. And I told this story last year, but it might be worth repeating. People seem to get a kick out of it. On Sergeant Preston, there was a dramatic program. It went very well in the original program, but they did a West Coast repeat, and they had a problem. Well, in the script, a man is tied in the northern tundra, and he's tied to a stake, and he's left for the wolves. And of course, dramatically, they're narrating, saying, a pack of wolves approached. The she-wolf was out in front. And I looked up. Well, what had happened, earlier he had rescued a she-wolf. And apparently she remembered, because he said, I looked up and I saw those eyes, that hair, those fangs. That's my wolf. Pretty happy ending. Not for the West Coast version. The actor got turned around. He said, I looked up and I saw those eyes, that hair, those fangs. That's my wife. They could not recover from that, and they had to play organ music. The actors were down on the floor. Major Bose. Music goes round and round. Where she stops, nobody knows. And how about one or two more, and then we'll get to our main business here. Let's see. Oh yeah, you'll know this one. The first few words you hear. Who knows? Two words, I'll call it the what evil lurks in the hearts of men. The shadow knows. I've always wanted to do that. And the shadow, mysterious character who aids the forces of law and order, is in reality Lamont Cranston, wealthy young man about town. And up in the air, it's a bird, it's a plane. Of course, that's too easy. Okay, for our final one here, a program called Suspense. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. I got to mention Joe Penner before I leave. You remember he used to say, "Want to buy a duck?" That was his line. And nobody ever, he could say, "Want to buy a duck" in the middle of nothing. Everybody would be hysterical. Nobody ever figured out what is so funny about it. Well, he was in Montgomery, Alabama in 1931 doing a show. And he was a bit actor. And he just ad-libbed all of a sudden, "Want to buy a refrigerator?" And nobody laughed. "Want to buy an ash can?" But the next night's performance, he just said, "Want to buy a duck?" And the audience went crazy. From then on, that became his signature. One more. Frank Singheiser was a newscaster for NBC and Mutual. He prided himself on never having to rehearse a script. He'd pick it up, read it cold, they'd write it for him, he'd go on the air. They used to worry about that. You know, it's kind of dangerous. So they decided they'd get him one time. So he picked up the newscast, he's on the air, the red light comes on. He says, "Today in Taiwan, Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek said," it was all Chinese. It was a disaster, and he was a little bit angry at his crew. Okay, now we're going to have some fun with Ethel and Albert, and you guys all know Dr. Julia Drummond and Don Stisson, and they have worked with me on bringing out this script. This is actually from the Kate Smith Show in 1952, February 27th, so it goes back a while. And it has three people. I'm Albert, this is Ethel, and he's a cab driver. He comes in at the end. Okay, if you're ready, we're going to turn back the clock to 1952. You can imagine it's coming out of here. Forget us over here. We're in this little box. Okay? All right, let's take it.
Beep, beep.
Albert, the taxi's here. Albert, he's here, honey. He's
All right.
here. Taxi's
Okay.
here.
I'm ready. My coat. Oh,
Here. Wrong thing. You got the wrong thing.
Huh?
You got money?
yeah, I got money. Yeah.
You got your ticket?
I got my ticket. Okay.
Well, take care of yourself.
I will.
Well, have a good time.
Well, I'm not going for a good time, honey. You know, it's just business.
Call me the minute you get there.
I will, honey. I will. Goodbye, darling.
Goodbye, darling. I'll miss you.
Oh, my briefcase. Where's my briefcase?
Oh, here it is.
The most important thing of, oh my goodness, it's got my speech in it.
Goodbye, darling.
Goodbye, darling. Now take care.
Good luck. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.
Bye. What's the matter? Oh, I thought that was a taxi. I'm sorry, honey.
Well, I thought it was the taxi. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, somebody for the Hutchinsons next door.
Oh, well.
Well, no sense taking my coat off, I guess.
No. The taxi will be right here. I told them you were catching a train.
Yeah.
Well, you might as well sit down.
Well,
you
might
know?
as well sit down, I guess, yeah.
You got money?
Yeah, I got money.
You got your ticket?
Yeah, I got my ticket, yeah.
Well, take care of yourself.
Yeah, well, you take care of yourself.
Oh, I will.
Lock up the doors at night now.
Oh, yes, I will.
Don't forget.
No, I won't forget. Well, I'll miss you.
Oh, I'll miss you too, honey.
Well, have a good time.
But I'm not going for a good time, honey. I mean, it's just a convention, you know, a lot of business meetings.
Yeah, sure. Well, give my regards to Mildred.
Yeah, I will. Mildred who?
Mildred Paulson, when you see her in Chicago.
Well, I'm not going to see anyone in Chicago, darling. I'm just going to be running from one station to another to make connections for Cincinnati.
I know, dear, but you'll see Mildred for just a minute. And I just meant for you to give her my regards. When you give her her galoshes.
Give who's galoshes?
Didn't you pack them?
Pack what?
Mildred Paulson's galoshes.
I most certainly did not pack Mildred Paulson's galoshes. I don't even know Mildred Paulson.
Myra Pemberton's sister. You met her. She was visiting Myra last week from Chicago, and she left her galoshes. And Myra knew you were going through Chicago on this trip, and she asked if you would take the galoshes to Mildred. And I asked you, and you said yes, you would.
Ethel, I never said any such thing.
Why, you did. I asked you way last week.
I don't remember you saying anything about anything like that.
Oh, honey, don't you ever listen? Well, it's all arranged anyway.
What is all arranged?
Well, it's all arranged. I explained it to you at breakfast this morning. Honestly, honey, you really just don't listen. I'll just go get the overshoes. I put them right upstairs by your suitcase so you pack them.
Darling, look, Ethel, listen. There's no point. Look, when I get to Chicago, I'm going to have exactly 40 minutes to get from the LaSalle Street station over to the Union Station. But I'll be lucky to get a taxi and make connections at all. Ethel, I'm telling you, there is no point in bringing down those galoshes.
Well, it's all arranged, darling. It won't be any bother to you at all. It really won't.
Darling, look. Will you please? The taxi's going to be here any minute.
It will only take a second, dear. Where's your suitcase? Oh, here. Let me get this thing open and we'll...
No. Don't put those dirty things next to my nice clean shirts.
Oh, honestly. Yes, all right. Let me get a newspaper. Oh, here. I'll put them right on the box.
Look, the taxi will be here any minute. I'm so nervous about this.
What is the matter with this thing?
Look, I'm going to have exactly 40 minutes.
Darling, you will make it.
To get from one station to another.
Darling, you will make it. It's absolutely all arranged. When you get off the train in Chicago, all you have to do is go through the gate and Mildred will be there, ready to take the galoshes.
Oh, all right.
Now, if she isn't there, dear...
There, now you see. I knew it. That's exactly what'll happen. She won't be there.
Oh, here, hold these a minute, honestly.
I won't know what to do. I'll be walking around. It always happens.
If she misses you in the crowd, go straight ahead, past the coffee shop, turn left, and go right toward a small newsstand. Mildred will be standing in front of the newsstand. In fact, she said she was standing in front of the cigar so that you'd know her.
Why? Does she smoke cigars?
Oh, honestly, honey.
Ethel, I can't.
Anyhow, she'll know you. She thought you were just wonderful, and she thinks you're just wonderful to take her galoshes
Darling,
to her.
I.
Now, if by the wildest chance she is not at the cigar stand, and she certainly plans to be, but after all, she is a cub mother this weekend. She's not
She's what?
a cub mother. You know, Boy Scouts, cubs, and anyhow, she has to round up a whole lot of the cubs and take them to a meeting. So she might not be there. And in that case, you're to call Stanley.
Darling, look, I am not. Who is Stanley?
Stan Garrett. It's her husband. He's in real estate. Now here's his telephone number in the overshoot. Putting it right here, see? Now Stanley should be in the office, darling, and if he is not, it's because his mother is visiting and she might decide to go back to Denver this Wednesday instead of next Wednesday. It seems that she's building a house or something and the ground was too hard so they couldn't start digging. But if they start digging and it's soft enough now, she'll fly back to Denver this week, today. And Stanley will be at the airport. And if he's not in the office when you phone, you're to ask for a Mr. Edwards. He'll know, dear, who you are, and there'll be no trouble about that. And he will send the office boy down to the Union Station. Now, darling, the office boy will go into the coffee shop and he will order 2 raised donuts and a cup of coffee. So that's how you'll know him, dear. Because Mildred couldn't think of any other way to identify him. You see, he always wears sweaters, so there was no buttonhole for a flower. So that's what she thought. So when you go into the coffee shop, what's the matter?
What in Sam Hill are you talking about?
Darling, I explained all of this to you at breakfast this morning. What were you doing?
At breakfast, I was thinking about the speech I got to make at the convention.
Albert, you can't tell me you haven't heard something about Mildred's overshoes.
Well, now that you're going on so about it, maybe I heard something, I don't know, but I certainly wasn't listening because I had no intention of doing anything.
It won't close. It just won't close.
Okay, that's it. That settles it. I am not taking them. Here, give them to me. I'm just not going to carry these things. I mean, after all, honey, why can't you go on a trip without somebody asking you to take something to somebody somewhere? You know yourself, honey, it's just a plain pain in the neck. I mean, let's face it.
Forget it. Just forget it. You just don't have to take them. I'll just tell Myra that you don't want to. I'll just tell Myra to tell Mildred that you didn't care enough to bother with her galoshes.
Darling.
Of course, Mildred and Myra and Harold have just been perfectly wonderful to us about little favors. Myra and Harold are just wonderful. When our dog dug up all the stuffing out of their
All
swing.
right. I'll take them.
Beep, beep.
Oh, there's the taxi. Oh.
Here, we'll have to wrap them.
All right. The taxi's waiting out there. All right, give me the
Newspaper. Here.
Darling, for Pete's sake.
Here you are. Oh, no, don't wrap it that way.
Give me some string.
String. Oh, all right. I'll go find some.
Bing, ding, dong, ding.
Oh, darling. All right, come in.
Taxi.
Yeah, all right, come in. I'll be right with you.
All set?
Yeah, I'm all set. Just want to get these.
Is this to go?
Yeah, get that, will you? If you don't mind, it's a suitcase to go out. I'm sorry, I've got to do something.
Honey, this is all the little I can find. Oh, hello.
Oh, here. This is my wife.
Aren't you wrapping the galoshes?
I'm trying to.
Oh, I don't think he needs to take galoshes. It's getting warmer.
Oh, well, they're not for him. He's taking them to Mildred Paulson. She left them here She was visiting from Chicago and her
Darling,
sister-
darling, honey, the man doesn't care anything about. Give me the string, will you?
Oh, yes, here. And darling, will you take these to Mildred too, honey?
What's that?
Watermelon pickles.
Watermelon pickles?
Yes, dear. Mildred's just crazy about them, and I said I'd give her some, and then I forgot. So I told Myra I would send them with, well, I'm sure the top is all right. But you know the syrup is sticky. So please be careful of it, dear. Hold the
Well,
jar upright.
I
Keep it upright. That's right. Have you got everything straight, honey? Mildred will be at the gate or the cigar stand. If she's not there, you're to call Stanley. And if he's not there, you're to ask for Mr. Edwards. Remember his number's in the overshoe now, dear.
oh, well, I don't know.
Ask for Mr. Edwards, and he will send the office boy over to the Union Station. Give him the watermelon pickles and the overshoes. You got it straight now?
I don't know. Ask. Mildred will be at the gate or the coffee shop.
No, at the cigar stand.
Thank you. Mildred will be at the cigar stand, and if she's not there, I'm to ask for a Miss. No. I call up Stanley, and if he's not there, ask for a Mr.
Edwards.
Mr. Edwards. Yeah, that's right, Edwards. Anyway, I'm to look for the office boy, and if that doesn't happen, with the raised donuts, and he'll be in the Union Station by
The coffee shop.
the coffee shop. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I wish you were going with him.
Don't worry. We'll practice it on the way to the station. Say, you better hurry if you want to make that train.
Yeah, well, all right. Okay, well, goodbye, darling.
Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye, sweet. Now take care of yourself.
Oh, I will. Now have a good time. Goodbye.
Goodbye, babe. Take care. Bye, dear.
Ring, 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 ring.
Oh, dear. Hello? Yes, Myra. It is the cab. He's just leaving. No, he didn't mind at all. He was very sweet about it. No, it was no trouble at all. Myra, hold on. Albert! Myra, get your car out. No, ours is in the garage being greased. Hurry. I think we can just make it to the station. Albert forgot his briefcase with his speech, and oh, he's going to be so hysterical. I just know that, and I'll never hear the end of this.
That's it, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. I think you did. If you're happy with these scripts, I've got some more coming for another program sometime. So thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate seeing a nice crowd.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.